everybody, and welcome. Like I said last week, we're going to have the session with Rachel, and right after the session, we're going to have a Q&A and discussion period. So if you have any questions, just keep them for the end. We will not interrupt Rachel during her presentation. We'll just do it at the end. Okay. So last week I've introduced Rachel, and I think everybody who's here know who she is. So go ahead, Rachel.
Okay. Hi, everybody. It's so nice to see all of you. And I'm very excited to give this second lecture. I hope your time will be worthwhile. I hope I'll be interesting. So I'm going to share my screen now. So the subject of our discussion today is religion still relevant? Last time we have discussed science and religion, and we saw that science and religion can meet. It's possible. Today, we're looking if religion is still important in our life, and what does it have to give? Now, first, I wanted to start with turning some questions inward so that we can ask ourselves and explore how do we feel towards this subject. It's not questions to be shared. You can answer yourselves, and if you'd like to share your opinion, you can input. There's two questions. You can input in where you can write. Then we'll go into definition of religion, because in order to discuss whether it's relevant, we need to know how we define it, what is the importance of it, and that we'll continue to general facts about religions today. We will explore why do we believe, and the advantage of faith, pros and cons, happiness, and some other gifts that our religion introduced to the world. In the end, we will discuss what do we feel about what we heard today. So there will be a discussion. There is a lot to discuss. It was a very hard subject to choose to discuss, and I chose it anyway because I felt it's important. I feel that especially in today's world. So the first question is, what does religion makes you feel? Before you look at the answers, close your eyes a second and say, how do I feel? How does religion, how does Judaism or religion in general makes me feel? And we're talking about feelings. So it's love, fear, safety, resentment, belonging, judgment, curiosity, or just indifference. So put it for yourselves. Maybe we'll share it. We'll try to share it after. We'll see if you feel the same. Now, the second question, what does religion mean to you? Rate it. Like maybe there is, of course, again, more than probably one answer that that comes to you with it, but rate it. What is the thing that most means to you? So there is holidays and family gathering. Does religion associate to you with terrorism, with community, with discrimination, with belonging and roots, with division, with parents, grandparents, and kids? Like that religion, when you think about religion, that's what you think about, with restrictions or with our history. Okay, remember. Now we turning to define religion. And when I thought about defining religion, I was surprised to see that the definition of religion is a contravention. What was written was that the definition of religion is controversial and complicated, and basically scholars are failing to agree on any one definition. How do we define religion? So I was surprised to see that it's free definition. Whatever was written there, the different suggestions did not resonate with me. So please check within yourself, how would you personally define religion for yourself. For me, religion is a pathway to relationship with yourself, with yourself, with your family, with your friends, with your community, with your people, with the world, and with all that is seen and unseen, with the known and with the unknown. It's just a pathway to relationships for me, okay? To me also, religion is a perspective of life, wisdom, choices, and roots. So usually one think about religion, I wrote choices with 3 question marks. How can religion be choices? It's pretty straightforward, seems to be. It's pretty, you know, it has its laws and ways of behavior, but we can choose, that's where the choices are. We can choose to look deeper and hold that which resonates with us. That's what we connect to, just like we do with any relationship worth keeping. So basically, if you want to have a healthy relationship, you can look deeper into it and you can choose what resonates with you. Now, fun facts. 59% of the world population identified as religious, 23% as not religious people, and 13% as convinced atheists. So what we learn here is that most of the world is still most of the world population is still very religious. Now, 27% of adults in Western Europe believe in the God described in the Bible. So 1/4 of the population of Europe are still very religious. The top 5 countries with the highest possible range of atheists and agnostics, which do not believe in a higher power or in God, are Sweden, Vietnam, Denmark, Norway, and Japan. Now, the country that we live in, the Canadians do not consider religion very important. 2/3 of the populations, although 2/3 of the population does believe in God, it's not very, they don't regard it as very important. And Quebec is especially secular. 62% say they are saying that they doubt that there is such thing as God, and so is British Columbia, are the most secular provinces in Canada. Now this research I presented also last time, and I present it again because it relates to the Jews. In this poll, 58% of Jews believed the world came about through natural processes. 58%, which is the majority of Jews, do not believe in God. So I thought that is very interesting, and it begs to question later on why Jews are distancing themselves from this belief. Here I'm showing that there are many religions in the world, as we know already, and religion has deep roots in our own evolution as human beings. There is prehistoric evidence of religion and evidence of ritualistic behavior from around the middle Paleolithic era, hard to say, 45 to 200,000 years ago. Now, here I wanted, since we're discussing religion, to challenge your thought. Which is it? Here I'd like you to participate and write. Did God create man in his own image, or man created God in his own image? What do you think?
Are you looking for suggestions? I mean, I think it depends whether you believe in God or not. if you don't believe in God, then you think it's something that you've created in your own mind, and this is what your idea of God should be. If you have a very strong belief in religion, then you go for the first one.
Yes, okay, that's true. That is true. Now, I brought it because this is because I wanted to suggest that could it be that both are true? That God created man and man perceived of God. So one doesn't have to be contradicting the other. And I brought again this quote from Neil Bohr's that the opposite of fact is false, but the opposite of one profound truth, it may very well be another profound truth. And thank you for participating. Now, why does religion exist? Okay, so according to Jonathan Sachs, he said religion survived because it answers 3 questions that every reflective person must ask. Who am I? Why am I here? How then shall I live? So in my opinion, these questions are relating to the need for meaning, for purpose, and for structure. Because how then shall I live? If my life is meaningful, how do I lead a life of meaning? And it begs for structure. And as people, we need structure in our lives. We all wake up in the morning and have certain structure. We, let's say, brush our teeth, have our coffee, go to work, and so on and so forth. Now, there are 4 basic aspects of ourselves and our needs. And here I'm showing why we actually lean towards religion. There is physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual need. The physical needs, of course, are food, the need for food, shelter, survival. Emotional needs, we all need to be loved and love. We all need connection, to be connected to others for our healthy emotional state. Our mental need, we need stimulation. We need to feel growth, education, and development. We need goals, okay? And then there is the spiritual needs. And the spiritual needs give us meaning, value, a sense of connection to something bigger than ourselves. It involves the search for meaning in life. And people that actually pay attention to those 4 levels are also tend to understand themselves better. For instance, I'll take a question outside of religion, how it works. I once went to a doctor, a dentist, and he asked me, you know, he saw that I was reading nutritional books, and he says, you know, I ate and I'm full, but I'm still hungry. What shall I do? I don't know what to do. And I thought for a moment, and then it clicked that we always need to ask the right question. I asked him, what are you hungry for? Is it, because sometimes our mind replaces one hunger for another. Is it physical? Is it emotional? Is it mental? Is it spiritual? What are you hungry for? So the same is with religion. Sometimes we need meaning and we replace it with something else. And then things don't really balance. Now, this is challenging. What does religion mean? There is a yogi, a guru, that is very famous, actually. His name is Sadhguru. I'm sure some of you have heard of him. And he said that for him, spiritual process is a seeking. You're looking, you keep on looking into life and into yourselves and into looking for the meaning. And for him, religion means assuming things that you don't know. What do we assume that we don't know? We don't really know. Does God exist? It doesn't exist. There is no proof. We discussed it before. There is no proof, but we see that whatever the Bible is telling us now coincide with science, right? So which is interesting. But there is no proof. There's never going to be proof because God is beyond us. So on the other hand, and that is the knowledge, in my opinion, it's the knowledge of the mind. The mind, the logic is seeking what's going on, wanting to understand. On the other hand, in our religion, in the book of Deuteronomy, and in a prayer that we say daily, Aleinu L'Shabeach, it says, and you will know that day, and you will return to your heart. Ve'yadata hayom v'hashevota el levavecha. What does it mean to return to your heart? It means that the heart, when you turn to your heart, when you ask your mind, you say, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. But when you turn to your heart, when you ask, is there God? When you seek and to understand through your heart, what does your heart tell you? So there is the knowledge of the heart, and we must not ignore it. It's intuition, and we live life with both. It's important to have our intuition and the knowledge of the heart that we do know, and the knowledge of the mind that we do ask for facts and exploration. So they're both important in our lives, in my opinion. We discussed about science, and we'll discuss now the science and religion and the four prominent aspects of our human existence through which we are nurtured, which we said physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Now, science is the search for truth through our mind and our physical reality. We look at our physical reality and we explore it with our mind. And therefore, there are correlations between science and our mental and physical existence. Religion is the search for truth also, but for meaning through our hearts and souls. Therefore, there is correlation between religion and our emotional and spiritual perception. So here, what we see is that science and religion complement each other in our needs to understand the underlying truths of existence through different levels of perception, which means, we have here now the physical, which is science, the emotional, which is religion, the mental, which is science, and the spiritual, which is religion. Of course, we can also access religion through our mental faculties. There is no doubt. There is here, I put claims to be fair for and against religion. And I divided them into the four basic aspects of human function. Again, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Now, stuff against religion, physical, it's controlling, it's fear-based, it's restricting, it could be, right, in some cases. And for religion, roots and continuity, support, safety, protection, sense of control over life's events, okay? The emotional aspect against are sacrificial, like people say, okay, I love God, I want to please him, I'm going to sacrifice myself, I'll sacrifice my life, right? Some people are like that. Fanaticism, it creates fanaticism, terror made in the name of God. And for religion, there is community, family, love, comfort, appreciation, gratitude, which is very important for happiness when we're appreciate and we're grateful, belonging, personal relationships, unity and trust. There is the mental faculties that against religion, that it's very judgmental, could be. Some people are, oh, we're better than you. Oh, you're not good enough. Oh, you're not doing and I am doing. Narrow-minded, singular, divisive, excluding, superior. And then there is the asking, pain and suffering. Where is God? Why is there pain and suffering? You know, and it's unproven. Well, the question about that begs another class on its own. But so we're not answering it now, but I'm just bringing it up. On the other hand, for religion, we can draw a lot of wisdom from our religion, and there is morality, and the morality, the laws of social behavior. What I found for religion is the spiritual aspects: hope, meaning, value, vision, and answers to the unknown. Okay, so what is happiness? I jump, but it's also connected, because when all the four aspects of ourselves are fulfilled, we tend to be happy. And there's so many books today about how can we be happy? You know, what is the way, the path to happiness? There is so many books, but when we are physically satisfied, emotionally fulfilled, mentally stimulated, and spiritually connected, then we tend to be happy. So how did our religion contribute to the world? And other wonderful messages. So these are only some of the things. There's so much more, but these are, I thought, the main things that I thought of. That we have the idea of unity. We have the belief in one God, the oneness in a divided world. This was Abraham's idea that, in my opinion, still misunderstood. Abraham lived in a paganist world where all the gods were fighting against each other, and there was no peace. Since the gods were fighting, obviously the people were fighting. So he came and he said, you know what? There is no reason to fight. We're all humans. We're all one. There is one God. We're all the same under God. We all have one God. But until today, everybody thinks they have their own one God, even those that the religions that do believe in God, it's their God. And this one is another God, but it's not. It's one God. It's just a really misunderstood concept. We brought to the world the idea of freedom, the Shabbat, a day of rest for all. And today, everybody in the world, I think, have the right for a day off, a Shabbat. We according to our religion, we're not allowed to hold slaves. We release slaves from slavery, even in the old days, on the 7th year, and unless they choose not to be released. Even the land get a rest on the 7th year. So freedom is definitely a big thing in our religion, as we know. In every holiday and in every Shabbat we mention it, and we brought that idea to the world, that concept. Hope, nothing is impossible. If we were slaves and from slave we became free people, and we're coming up for Passover, then nothing is impossible for us. Anything is possible. So morality and just societies, all that Moses wrote to create a well-running society, equality and love of the other, love thy neighbor as yourself. It's from the book of Leviticus, okay? Also, God created us all in his image, right? So one is not really better than the other. We're all created in God's image. If we're all in God's image, we're all equal. There is not one that is better than the other or one superior to the other, which again is in today's life not completely understood, well understood. We put value to life. Life is sacred for us. even the Shabbat that's supposed to be holy, if there is any life that is threatened, we put it away. It cancels Shabbat. It cancels any holy anything to save a life. And we still act like that in Israel against our enemies. We show that morality very well. And something else that is very, very big in Judaism, it's not a blind faith. Abraham and Moses both argued with God. Abraham argued for Sodom, I guess he didn't want God to destroy Sodom and kill all the people in it, and he argued with God. And Moses also argued with God when the Jews made themselves that idol before the giving of the Torah, the calf, the golden calf. Jacob not only argued, like he didn't argue, he actually fought. He physically fought with an angel of God. So this is the messages that our religion is giving, that it's okay. It's okay to explore. It's okay to ask. It's okay to challenge. Now, religion is also about our roots, continuity, survival, seeing value and pride in the people we are and what we brought to the world. I think that's very important. And remember that roots, I'm not sure if I said it already, a plant that, when we look at a plant that has roots, it can withstand, it can hold, it can survive almost anything. It also bears more fruits or better fruits. Roots are important, and to give it to our children and see them flourishing is very important. Another thing that I want to add here when we talk about children, that I had students that had problems falling asleep at night because of fears. And I told them, you know what? When I was young, my dad, when I was afraid to go to sleep, my dad told me, say the Shema, and God would listen to you and will be with you. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. And I used to say that, and I used to feel safe. And I used to feel that nothing can hurt me. And those children in my classes that did that have transformed their lives significantly. The parents came to me and told me, wow, now every time that they combat fear, they feel anxious, they say it and they feel safer. So children do need also faith, not only us as adults to explore. Now, I'm almost done. Is our religion divisive? And the second question I'll ask after. The test, what Rabbi Sachs is saying, the test of faith is whether I can make space for difference. Can I recognize God's image in someone who is not in my image, whose language, faith, ideal are different from mine? If I cannot, then I have made God in my image, instead of allowing God to remake me in God's image. So basically, he's saying that to accept differences, that it's okay to be different, to not only to accept them, to respect them. And if we think about our world, one of the challenges that we face is that people are not accepting. Now, what about being the chosen people? What do you think? Is God's message is, hey, you are chosen, you're better than everybody else. Isn't every religion say that? We're all better. So who's better? which kid is better, you know? So the answer for me is, when I used to teach, I used to tell the kids, when you have that statement, you need to ask, what were we chosen for? We were all chosen. But what is our role in life? What were we chosen for? Doesn't mean that we're better. If you look at the human body, is one arm better than the other arm? No, one does this work and the other. Is the arm better than the leg? No, the legs are for walking and the arms are for eating, let's say, or for, you know, everything has its role. Is the brain better than the heart, or the heart better than the brain? We can't do without without one or the other. They're both important, but what are their roles? They both have different roles. So that's my attitude. That's how I meant being the chosen people. Important to ask the right question. So here we're finally finished, and I'm gonna review what we said today. Now we said that the majority of the world is still religious, that the majority of Jews shy away from religion, that we live in a very secular province, so secular they put up a new law in 2019, I think. We're going to look at it maybe later if you'd like to discuss it, or maybe in another time, but we know that. We learned that religion is rooted in us, that it's not something that recently pop up and we all of a sudden feel more spiritual. It's ingrained in us. It's been there forever. We learned that religion can add to our sense of well-being. It can make us happy. It can make us healthy, because when you're happy, you're healthier. It can make us secure. It can make us connected. And that we have choices within our belief system. And it's worth looking deeper. It's worth taking another look, and asking the questions and exploring them. And we learned that our religion has made a difference in this world, and we should be feeling proud to be Jewish, not shying away from it. But this is the message that we should transfer to our kids, to our families, on Friday night dinners, create that proud. Now, I thought this is important to say that I saw that religion is never the problem. It's the people who used it to gain power. And I wonder what you think about this statement. Is it true? Is it not true? Is it religion that divides us? Or is the people that wants to control life that are creating this division? Do we see it in politics also? Do we see it in other parts of life? Do we see it here because of language? That maybe language is the problem? Is it the nature of human being to be divisive, and then we find reason to blame it on? Is it land? In Israel, it's land, you know? So with this, I guess I'm gonna finish, and I'm gonna ask you, if you want to talk, what do we feel about what we heard today? How do you feel about religion now? Do you have questions? Is religion divisive? Or I guess I already talked too much. If you want to explore that, we can explore that. Or otherwise, we can ask about Quebec's province that has passed a law regarding religious symbols in Bill 21 in 2019 that confirm the province, like that's the purpose of this legislation, to confirm the province secular status, as well as to prohibit the wearing of religious symbols. And what do you think about that? now, do you feel that it's acceptance or division? Create acceptance, like everybody's uniform, nobody wear any symbols, so now we are all one? Or is it divisive or discriminatory? So whatever comments that you would like to have, I'm now going to get out of the share and we'll have a discussion.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Really, really. I'm going to leave my comments for the end. I'm just leaving it open for people to ask questions. Please, whenever you have a question, unmute yourself. Albert, you have a question?
Well, I have questions and I have comments. I mean, first of all, let me tell you, Rachel, it was an amazing presentation. Kol hakavod to you. Very thought-provoking. So much so that I can just spend another hour discussing it with you. But I don't want to monopolize the floor. I'll just stick to maybe one or two items and then I'll give the chance to the others. Regarding your second to last slide with the mountains, you said, what does religion represent to the people? I think if I remember right, it was Karl Marx who said, religion is the opium of the masses. They use religion in order to put the people to sleep so that they don't revolt. And religion has been actually, as good as it has been very divisive throughout history. Countless of wars have been fought over religion, so much so that even today, Israel is called a racist state because the law of return in Israel allows only Jews to immigrate to Israel and to benefit from all the programs and the benefits that Israel offers. And if you're not Jewish, then you don't get any of that. And we saw that this past week with the Ukrainian immigrants, and they were trying to distinguish between Jewish Ukrainians and non-Jewish Ukrainians. The Ukrainian Jews were able to settle in Israel and get all the benefits, 6,000 shekels per month per person, and the non-Jewish Ukrainians got nothing. So now Israel is being called a racist state. Why? Because of religion. I wonder if you have any comments on what I just said. I'm opening the floor actually to anyone who wants to challenge that.
Okay, so does anybody have something, how to respond to Albert? Because he presents very strong points here.
I have a couple of comments. Yes, it is divisive, but on the other hand, one has to understand the reason why it is being divisive in this particular case, in the case you brought up with Israel. It is a Jewish state. We have created it because we are discriminated in the diaspora. We are being kicked out of our own countries over the centuries. So we need to have a place to go. So it is a Jewish state. Keeping that in mind, you think it isn't divisive. So, you could see it depends on the point of view that the person has. But in my personal point of view, it isn't, because we do have to have our own country. And it's absolutely okay. I mean, they accept non-Jews as well. But as far as mass immigration, I think that it should be kept for Jews. That's my opinion.
I fully agree with you on that, Rosie, but it's just that we are suffering as a result of that because the entire world is calling us racists just because we only allow Jews and non-Jews are not getting the same benefits. Why? Because to my mind, Israel is unique in the world. It's not a country like any other country. No. And this begs the question, is Judaism a religion? Is it a nationality? Or is it an ethnicity? What are we? Are we both a religion and a nation? Or are we just an ethnic group? And that could be debated.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Well, I haven't been really listening to what you're commenting on, but I feel that it's very hypocritical because why would Poland accept 2 million Ukrainians. It's because they have the same religion and they have the same culture or similar. So the same reason why Poland didn't accept 2 million Syrians. You know, so it's basically the world is being hypocritical.
Well, first of all, I agree with you, Michael. I wasn't proposing that myself. I'm just saying that
No, I'm
this
saying
is how
I'm not commenting on that. I'm saying I'm commenting on the world.
Yeah.
The world,
This is how we're being
but-
perceived that way by the world, and we're being called racist on account of religion, unfortunately.
If it's not one thing, it's another. It's not. I don't
Exactly.
think it's what we're doing. I think it's people's own divisiveness that they want to have. Like, yeah, that's what I think it is. I think if it's not saying that we're racist, it's saying something else bad about us. It's not about what we're doing. Like, there's two perspectives. We're helping Ukrainians. That's one perspective. It doesn't matter who we're helping them. There's also a scenario where Israel doesn't do anything and leaves all the Ukrainians to stay there and not be able to go into Israel. It's just a perspective of how you look at it. And I think whoever's calling Israel racist, it's because they have something against maybe Jews or Israel or something else. And if they're not hating on them for being racist, they'll hate on them for being something else. That's my opinion.
because they're racist as well.
Yeah.
Everybody is
Actually,
in their own camp. They accept their own kind, and they don't accept anybody else. And the truth of it is, we're the same, or most of us are the same.
There's a big debate in Israel exactly about the law of
right.
return. A lot of people are against it, Jews themselves, for that very
Right.
reason.
Well, because Jews like to self-reflect and say, well, we're being racist because we're not accepting the whole world into our little country. But, whereas others obviously feel that how can you survive if you let everybody in?
Exactly.
But just like Eitan was trying to say, everybody's in their own camp. You know, we're the they're comfortable with a certain culture and they're not comfortable with others.
If I may just make maybe a comment on something else, I don't want to take away from that discussion, but there are other couple of comments that I would really like to make. And one thing that Rachel, you said was, it's not a blind faith, not to have blind faith. And this is ever so true. We have the example of Moses. Moses yelled at God, why me? Why do you choose me? I can't even speak properly, yet you choose me. He was angry at him. So we are allowed, I don't think blind is the way we should go. We should question, we should be angry, we should always try to find reasons for. So that was very interesting when you said not a blind faith. And the other thing is freedom. Freedom is an issue that's in religion that's really debatable all the time. We can debate it for hours and hours, and everyone will have their own opinion. And are we really free? So you have two schools of thoughts, one yes and one no, of course. So you put it very clearly. You gave us a very interesting point of view as to why it is freedom. And so I really appreciated that. That's what I wanted to say.
I also wanted to mention to Rachel, Hazaka Brucha, it was a beautiful subject that we can talk, not only minutes or hours or days or, you can talk forever about it. So, but it was really an interesting subject. An interesting, I don't have my video. I'm not.
No, you're okay. You're okay.
You can see me, no?
You're okay.
Yeah.
You're okay. We see you.
So, Hazaka Ubrucha, Rachel, it was really, really nice to hear, but the time is of the essence. It's too bad we cannot talk about it in large. All the best. Thank you.
Can I just mention one thing? I mean, I'm sorry, I was on and off because I was on my way home. But I just want to say, Rachel, you are a true educator. It was really enjoyable to listen to you.
Yeah, I
Thank
second
you
that.
very much, Sandra. Thank you all.
I
Yeah.
second that.
And
You put
Lisette
words. Yeah, sorry.
No, Lisette put on chat also that she was taught to say Shema Israel before going to bed because she also had trouble. So thank you, Lisette, for sharing that piece of information with us.
Thank you. And really, I also want to tell Rachel, she expressed
Can I say
thoughts
something?
that we had. She put words
Rachel,
in our thoughts, in thoughts that we had that we did not kind of describe, but you described it to us. You put, you put it in sentences. So thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you,
Gladys.
guys. It's nice to get positive reinforcement.
Mrs. Gabbay, I have a question.
Please go ahead.
So, I mean, your presentation was very good. I appreciate it. But now the question begs is, how do we get this message across to the future generations, like your children or other people's children on this call? How are we transmitting this type of message or putting it in a way that they want to not be divisive or not be rebellious to religion, because this seems to be the trend right now. But at the same time, another trend or another force that wants to have inclusion. So how do you make that connect together? And just to say for Albert's comment is that the Torah, it says Am HaYehudi, so it's a nation of Judaism, which encompasses all of the, call it a religion or ethnicity, because ethnicity comes from everybody's different customs and minhagim from different locations of the world. But at the end of the day, we are the Jewish nation.
Rachel, do you want to answer?
Filling out forms, you're filling out forms and they ask you, what is your religion? Or no, what is your nationality or your ethnicity? And sometimes I don't know what to put in, whether I'm Jewish or what ethnic origin do I have?
Egyptian.
Am I Jewish?
Somebody wrote in their thing, in their application, human race.
Gladys has been trying to talk a few times.
That's right. I was just going to say that. Gladys, go ahead, sweetheart. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Because you put a list. What do we benefit from the religion? And one of them was belonging. And this is what my choice. I belong to the synagogue, and the synagogue enriched my life. I am never alone. I belong to a great place where I can contribute, I can give, and I can take. And both things are the pillars of my life. I like to give and I like to receive. And I don't miss anything. Everyone who offered me something, I am there. And I would like everybody also to share what I am giving.
Thank you, Gladys.
I could try to answer a question that came up.
Yeah, I think it's important. I was waiting. Yeah.
So my mom, Rachel, she gave me the freedom growing up to kind of interpret religion on my own and stimulated discussion in that way. And I think the way to teach the younger generation is to not have a rigid idea of religion and to allow us to find the meaning in it for ourselves. Because I think in religion, you could get from it what you want. It allows you to get, like my mom said, there are different things in life like morality, emotional needs, and whatever other needs that you can get. And I think religion provides a lot of that. if you wanted, you could take from it what you want. And so if you need something from it, like emotional needs, or you need connection to other human beings, or you need whatever it is, religion can also could provide that for you. And for people who need it, they could find it in religion. So to allow the younger generations to find in it what they need, instead of having a rigid idea of what religion is, that there's a God and you have to have these beliefs and you have to follow these laws, it just doesn't make sense to a generation that grew up learning a lot in school about science and being guided by science growing up, pretty much. So just allowing us to have the freedom.
Just one minor comment, if I may. The notion of, it was beautiful to hear that you recite the Shema at night. Your father taught you to recite the Shema at night. It's a wonderful thing. But bear in mind that reciting the Shema at night and in the morning when you arise is actually a commandment within the Shema itself.
Yeah.
Upon going to sleep and upon rising in the morning. So it's a
I
commandment.
do that, Albert, morning and night. And
I believe you, son. I believe you.
Yeah.
It helps.
I'm just advocating that it's a koch, it's a commandment. It's not a if you want to do it or not.
I'd like.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Any other?
Thank you, Rachel, for this
questions?
wonderful presentation.
Any
Is it
other?
one more reflection before we end?
Oh, absolutely. Please, Cheryl. Yes.
So wonderful job, Mom. I just wanted to comment on one of Albert's earlier comments or questions about identity and what does it mean to be Jewish? Is it cultural? Is it religious? Is it all the above? And I just wanted to say a few things about that. I'm in the field of psychology, and I've been involved in psychological research, and something I observed, I actually did in my undergraduate research on spirituality in children and how it helps them. The research was done with children that were having health issues and seen at the Children's Hospital with diagnoses of cancer and things like this, and how and if spirituality was helpful to them in getting through this difficult time. One of the questions on the demographics questionnaire, which is just an overall screener, was how do you identify religiously, spiritually, culturally? So it kind of separated out these things. And Judaism was the only religion / culture that featured in multiple categories, such that you could say, I'm culturally Jewish, but no, I'm not religious. No, I don't believe in God. So it allowed for that flexibility, whereas it's very hard to say that about Christianity or other, it doesn't allow for as much nuance and subtlety, I think, because of the kind of the nature of Judaism being also an ethnic and cultural category. So that's interesting. And I also wanted to say that I know I've met people who did not grow up Jewish, who did not know they had anything to do with Judaism, and only in adulthood found out, oh my goodness, my mother was Jewish and I didn't know. And despite the fact that they did not grow up Jewish or celebrate holidays or belong to a synagogue or any of these things, they feel a sense of connection and belonging to this thing, this ethnicity, this culture, it's still meaningful despite the fact that you didn't potentially grow up with it. And of course, it depends on the individual and how they perceive it. They might not matter to them, but for some people it does matter. Oh, my grandparents lived through the Holocaust. I didn't know I was Jewish. You have, for whatever the cultural context, the timing, there's all kinds of reasons why people at a certain time might leave their religion behind or conceal their religion or cultural roots. And we know this because there's been a lot of persecution over the years. But I just wanted to say that a lot of these people that find out that they're Jewish and develop this curiosity, they don't feel safe in the kinds of milieus that we create, for example, in Montreal, around Judaism. They feel othered, they feel, oh, you're Jewish, but you're not really Jewish. I think we have to be careful about how open and accepting we are to people who are different, even within Judaism, and who might come from a variety of cultural contexts or even gender identities that may be different from what a lot of people, let's say norms. And I think this is an interesting kind of segue from this whole discussion of how open and kind of leading off of what Eitan was saying, how open and flexible are we willing to be in accepting people who are different or who come with different ideas?
I would like to add to what Cheryl Gabbay and Eitan Gabbay said. This is what is happening now in Israel. We had a whole session with Rabbi Ornstein recently in the last series. He was talking about a book. He was analyzing a book that it is talking about Israel and how the religion is taking now by the young generation. He said exactly what the two of you said recently, Cheryl and Eitan, that the new generation, they are not following religion blindly and exactly you have to do this and you don't have to do that and you have to do this and do that. They are using it in a cultural way. Exactly what you said was written by a writer about that the new generation is religious, but in a cultural way. They are not following blindly what they were told.
Thank you, everybody. Rachel, again, thank you so much. And we'll see you all next week, and bring your friends and we'll be here.
Thank you all so much for showing up, and I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone. Thank you very much.